the Ant-Man trailer, that came out this week. Spencer, I'm going to shoot you straight. I'm always going to shoot you straight, buddy. This was a terrible trailer. This was a terrible trailer, and I'll tell you, folks, I'm coming into Ant-Man extremely amped up for two reasons. Number one is that I love the concept of it, that it's a heist movie, and number two, I love the idea that it's about a guy who can turn little and all the inventive things you can do visually and with action sequences. The trailer sells neither of those things, and I'm really, really scratching my head about this. Like, it's perfectly set up to sell it as a heist movie. It's got this whole kind of, I want to say almost a Mask of Zorro-esque thing where Michael Douglas is the Anthony Hopkins character in this place, and he's picking up the young thief vagabond and giving him a second chance speech, blah blah blah. But the nice twist to that would have been, okay, so how do I redeem myself? I want you to break into my building and steal some shit, but they don't do that. And we only get one money shot, and it's of him riding an ant, which is fine, because, it's certainly a quirky image, but that's it. I guess I'm reminded of a line that our good friend Gabe Toro, film critic, he gave this line when we saw the first trailer for X-Men Days of Future Past, which had very little money shots in it, and his quote was, "Hey, we're a big special effects movie, and none of our special effects are done yet." It feels very much like that. What did you think of it?
I won't be quite as negative as to say that it was a terrible trailer, but I don't think it was as good as it could have been. And I will point out, just as a side note, that a lot of people are saying that perhaps these special effects we saw in the trailer are the ones that they showed at Comic-Con last year. Mm-hmm. So it's possible that they're so not done with the effects that they're having to use the stuff that they made a year and a half ago. So there are parts of the trailer I really enjoy. I think that the bit where when he's in the suit and he hits the button and turns small, I think that looked really cool. I'm interested in how they're going to continue to sell this one, because a lot of the complaints I've seen about the trailer is that in regard to the tone, which is a little more morose, kind of not necessarily dark, but far more dramatic, which puzzles people, given that previously it's been referred to as one of their funnier films. Mm-hmm. But I don't know that complaining about the tone in the trailer not matching with what we have been told verbally in the press, I'm not sure how valid that is as a complaint, because I don't think you get to say what the tone is until you see it, and Marvel establishes what the tone is.
Yes.
So I'm not sure how I follow the people in that regard, but is it a great trailer? No, not really. But I wouldn't say it's a terrible one either. I think it does what a teaser trailer for a movie called Ant-Man needs to do, which is to let you know that there is a movie called Ant-Man coming out. He can turn tiny, he can ride ants, and that Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly are all in it, and they all look beautiful.
Well, I'm happy for you. I really am. I really am. Well, see, I think this might be one of the kind of points where me and Spencer always lock heads. You just got to understand, folks, I come from... This is going to sound so pretentious, because Spencer also comes from a time when I remember trailers, whether they were teaser trailers or whatever, they were works of art. They were, and I'm not coming at this from a place of nostalgia. I'm talking about movies whose trailers, really did sell a little mini story that really, when they had shots in them, every shot was useful in conveying what the story was going to be. Ant-Man is the kind of trailer where, I am guessing because the special effects aren't done, they need to very rapidly cut together some action shots, but all they can cut together is, cars running across an alley and, some feet running and some what looks like some kung fu and people walking across corridors.
The one action shot where, and I only know it because I did the screen grabs of the trailer, is that Ant-Man is throwing Corey Stoll's character Darren Cross through a window. But I mean, if that's as big as you get in action, then
exactly.
yeah, might want to think that over again.
Now, I'll tell you what I did like. This movie does seem to have a hook to it, that for the first time we're getting a superhero who is domesticated with a family. He has a daughter. He has somebody who apparently looks up to him here, but he has this great pain, and he feels like he's a complete fuck up and a letdown, and he wants to be a hero on a very small and intimate scale just to get respect from his child. Now, you know, some people might not go for that. Personally, I find it very human, very relatable, very cool. And it's so weird because there's been movies before that have like tried to go for that. Like, do you remember that? I always pick on it, but you remember that bit in Green Lantern where, you know, Hal Jordan has this completely extraneous relationship with, I think it's his nephew or something at the beginning of the movie, and it has no bearing on anything. But it's, you know, but it's a nice idea to have a superhero story like that. I can't think of any other, you know, comic book superhero that's gonna have that kind of relationship in it. So I'm all for that.
Another element that they're building with this movie that they're not necessarily doing right now with other Marvel films is that it's a hero with the idea of legacy. So it's Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man, handing off the mantle of Ant-Man to someone else. And, you know, that's definitely an idea that plays through comics for decades. And it's something that they'll probably end up doing again. You know, Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, they've all been different people. So it's possible they can do it again in the films. But it's interesting that this is the film they chose to explore the theme of legacy. And I think that's definitely something to keep in mind about this movie.
Well, again, I mention The Mask of Zorro. You don't think Mask of Zorro is a comic book movie, but in actual fact, I think it's one of the most perfectly constructed comic book movies that exists. And it really, you know, it came out in '98 when they didn't really make good ones. Well, Blade was that summer. Blade kicked everything off, but, you know, it really fulfilled a need back in the day, and I always go back to that movie. So if it's got that kind of tone to it and that kind of story, which it seems that it has, then I'm all on board. I have every faith in the movie. I just feel like, I do feel like it was a real waste of a trailer. I don't think it sold the concept at all.
I agree, but I also think that at least in the circles we run in, it has it working against it. The baggage it carries is working against it. That, you know, people that wanted the Edgar Wright Ant-Man and are seeing the Peyton Reed Ant-Man, they don't like it because it's not the Edgar Wright Ant-Man. And I worry that will work against the film, but I'm not worried about that in regard to how this movie is played to the public, because I saw plenty of people I know who don't follow movie news as closely as some of us reacting to the Ant-Man trailer and reacting positively. So as long as they can get the people that they're worried don't know about or appreciate or will understand Ant-Man, as long as they can get them in the theater, they did the job. Because people like us, even though we may not have responded as positively to the first trailer as they would have wanted, we're still going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I will say, I'm glad we're recording this today, because today a couple of new stills have come out, and I really like the stills. There's this one shot of Scott Lang, and he's got the Ant-Man suit, and it's just hung up over the bath.
Yeah,
I like that a lot, and I think that there's the shot in the trailer where he gives a thumbs up and he shrinks. I think he's in the bathtub. So,
yeah, they just released a couple of more.
Oh,
actually.
right.
And one of them is him in the suit, standing in the bathtub.
That's great. That's good. I mean, actually, and then that's the kind of thing that I don't feel people are taking into consideration right now. Certainly as far as how this is going to, if it's done well, fire up the imagination of young kids. Like, if you have this extraordinary superhero, you shrink him down to tiny size, but you put him in, you know, just normal household situations like the bathtub. Well, you know, what happens the next time the kid takes his little Ant-Man action figure into the bathtub? Holy shit, I just realised that, you know, the Ant-Man action figure, it's you can basically pretend you have Scott Lang in your hand.
Yeah.
He's real, but he's small, and, you know, you can have him fight the dog and all kinds of things, and, man, It's
And
a
building
cool
off
idea.
of that, a lot of the interviews that Whedon did about Age of Ultron when they were first going into production, when he was talking about adding Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver to the team, was that he didn't want to add any more characters who only had punching powers. And now he has another character. They have another character in the Marvel Cinematic Universe who doesn't have just punching powers.
No. So, it's alright. And, again, folks, if we ever get... And this is a thing to remember. Perspective is everything. Because we all do get cynical from time to time. It's just the nature of being on the internet for too long. You don't even know it's happening to you. We've all had those moments where we just turn up our noses and everything. But think about it this way. If you love these characters as children, and the fact that they're getting made, who else would make Ant-Man? Who else would even entertain the notion of a movie called Ant-Man? Think about it. Can you even believe that a movie called Ant-Man exists and is one of this summer's big movies? It blows my mind. It really does. I'm just grateful that it exists. And it can't be wasted.
So that is still the attitude we had when Green Lantern came out.
Well, sure. And
a lot of people were saying, I'd rather have a Green Lantern movie as opposed to no Green Lantern movie, which you're teetering on being in trouble with a statement like that.
I think that's a debate for another time. I want to bring in Randall on that one. Yeah, definitely.